Today we are highlighting something a little bit unique. We've got a school partnering with the school to make a garden a school. And I see some honeysuckle vine here that we're going to be accenting, so let me head over this direction and talk to Joanne Brown, who is the master gardener that is spearheading this entire project here at Vol State. So Joanne, tell us about this gorgeous arbor and your garden.
We have planted Major Wheeler honeysuckle. It is a hybrid of a native honeysuckle in order to have the red color. Hummingbirds love this particular vine. And we have also some blue plumbago in there, so we have the school colors on the arbor with the red, white, and blue.
So the pioneers are represented when you first come into the garden. That's great. So Joanne, tell us about this. Let's walk through the garden here, because this is a pretty substantial project that you've got going on here.
We have roughly 1/3 of an acre garden area here. We mainly use it for demonstrations, for what's the best plants to grow for this area because of the different conditions that we have than most people in other parts of Tennessee.
Right. You've got a lot of raised beds here. Was this done on purpose?
We did do this on purpose, and this particular one, we planted a lot of lavender in. We do have some other herbs in this one, but we planted, because lavender is such a difficult plant to grow in Tennessee, we have found that there are some that are better. The Phenomenal brand,
yes.
The Grasso is good, Munstead is good, and so is the Intermedia, and we do have a Provence.
Okay, so Joanne, obviously you've got areas of the garden that are not raised beds, so tell us about this area.
This is our cutting garden. We originally had it sectioned off for individual colors, but we know that that doesn't really happen when plants like to reseed themselves. Mm-hmm. So we do try to incorporate a lot of natives in here.
Okay, so in this garden, do you have a regular force that comes out on a weekly basis? How do you manage this?
On a weekly basis, there are usually 2, maybe 4 of us that come. We also have a work day on the 3rd Saturday of every month, where we hope to get students and faculty involved, and the community.
Tell me about what you've got going on here.
This is great. We have 2 kinds of blackberries. They're both from the University of Arkansas brands. We have a Triple Crown and the Primark Freedom. Myself, I like the Primark Freedom.
And you've got blueberries as well.
We have 2 kinds of blueberries, and these are High Bush and a Rabbit Eye, which are both recommended for our area.
And what do you do with the fruit that you harvest from your garden?
At the present time, the birds get the majority of it, and a local groundhog.
There's nothing wrong with feeding the wildlife, right? It has to eat too.
That's true.
So, Joanne, tell us about this fence, because this has significance.
The fence was an original fence on the property before it became a college campus.
So y'all just turned it into a split rail thing that's kind of honors the place that it used to be.
Yes.
And you've got elderberries here. This is great. You don't see those just everywhere.
And they've been trimmed down because we had a bad freeze, so they're revamping, but we're hoping to get some flowers on them next year and some berries.
That's great. So in addition to your other fruit, you've also got raspberries, so you've just about got berries covered. Tell us about these.
These raspberry, we have 4 different kinds, and these are the Heritage raspberry, a great raspberry for our area that just really does well, performs well, gives us a lot of good berries.
Good fruit. So for a homeowner, that would be a good selection for them?
That's a good selection.
And obviously you've got it trained here. Is that what you recommend as far as harvesting?
I recommend training it because it does want to flop. And it does want to, get spread profusely out on the ground. So to get good clean berries, you want to train it.
And it probably helps with your disease control as well, with airflow in the berries.
Yes,
do y'all use any sprays or anything on this garden?
We do not. We don't use any sprays at the present time. And we just have been very fortunate not to have too many diseases.
Right. this is a teaching garden, so you've got good signage here. Tell us about those.
We really want people to understand what varieties we're growing and what is a good variety when they come through, not just us telling them. So they can come through at any time, see the sign and say, oh, I love these raspberries. This is heritage.
Right. And you're also using a teaching tool with pollinators.
Pollinators. We try to encourage the pollinators for all of the garden, but especially the fruit, because they're all endangered and we need them, so we try to encourage any and all that we can.
What's nice is that your signage is consistent throughout the whole garden, so they just know to look for the blue and white signs.
Blue and white signs, another part of the school colors.
Tell us about these sweet potatoes. It looks like a great crop.
These are Beauregard sweet potatoes. We got the slips from a gentleman who works here and grows them himself, and he told us, he has been teaching us how to grow them and has explained to us the best ways to grow them. They need a lot of lime, but he said if you can see where the plant comes up, if it's bulging, then you know that it's making potatoes, and you want to leave them as long as possible.
Your inclination is, well, I have to pull it up to see how much, but this way you can look at it without having to pull up the plant.
Exactly.
I love these peppers. Tell me about them.
These are habanadas. In the gardens, we like to try some new varieties. These are not a hot pepper. These are a sweet habanero pepper that we have just tried this year. It seems to be doing very well in the garden.
It sounds strange to say a sweet habanero pepper. Okay, and then this is one of my favorite things. I've grown this before. Tell me about this spinach.
This is Malabar spinach. It loves the heat and does very well here in Tennessee. It's a little more succulent than most spinaches, but it does exactly the same, gives you wonderful beautiful colors in your garden and adds so much to the garden. I can't recommend it enough.
And it's delicious.
It is, raw or cooked.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move on to tomatoes, because everybody loves tomatoes. Tell us what kinds you've got here.
These are damsel, and this was our first year for that particular tomato. It's a big, heavy grower, and it's got quite a few tomatoes on it, in spite of the local groundhog who has eaten quite a few of them. But we still have enough tomatoes for him and us.
And you've got a good substantial cage. Is that out of concrete wire?
It is.
I love to make tomato cages out of that. It just holds it up better. So yeah, this is pretty nice, and I love the basil growing next to it.
Two kinds of basil, actually. This is a cardinal basil, which is another pretty plant with beautiful leaves, a wonderful flavor, and of course the large leaf Italian basil.
Yeah, I really like to cut basil and just put it in my kitchen in a vase. That way I'm ready to use it, and it smells so good in the kitchen, doesn't it?
It does.
Joanne, thank you for this. This is a lovely teaching example of a garden. It's exactly the way we want it to look, and you've got the teaching points down perfectly. Thank you for the effort and the time that's gone into this garden. It's lovely.
Thank you.
For inspiring garden tours, growing tips, and garden projects, visit our website at volunteergardener.org or on YouTube at the Volunteer Gardener channel, and like us on Facebook.